don't disrupt the meeting. So first, I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 6:30, and I'm going to ask first order of business is, will you please join me in Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm going to start with some introductions. I'm Lisa Whalen, I'm the mayor. And to my left are council members Kathleen Refkin, Peter Vickery, Claudia Lacey, and Brian Govern. And then we have on the end, we have Director of Public Works, we have Gary Peters, and then Paula Baumann is our Assistant City Administrator. To my right, I have our City Administrator, Jasper Krugel, and then we have Brian Grimm, who is our Finance Director, and then we have David Abel, who is our Community Development Director, and then we also have with us this evening Craig Squires, who is our police chief. With that, are there any changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, hearing none then, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
All right, is there any other?
Second.
Second, all right, thank you, Ms. Refkin and Mr. Govern. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. I should also say we have our city attorney, Sarah Sansala, and our city clerk participating remotely. And then, so first of all, we have a special presentation. It's to accept the 2024 GFOA award that was awarded to the city based on Brian Govern's and his team's efforts. Thank you again, Brian. Do you want to?
Brian Grimm.
Not Brian Govern.
Brian Grimm. Brian, thank you too.
Good job, Brian.
Good job, Brian.
So, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Yeah, I'll be brief here, but yeah, I just wanted to say that this is always a good achievement for the city. It's basically, we're probably one of like 10% of cities, 10-15% that go above and beyond and get this award with our annual audit. And we've been receiving that since 2004. So it's been 20 plus years now receiving that award, and we'll plan to apply again for it with our 2025 audit once that's done. And I'd like to thank also Angie Bowl, who's our senior accountant, and Renee Newman and our finance department, just for all their hard work and that they put into it, and that the city council is also supportive of the city receiving this award.
Thank you. Yeah, and I know that your team, I mean, Angie and Renee help out a lot too. So we really appreciate it because it just adds a little more transparency to our finances, and it also helps the council to see what's going on a little more clearly. So that is greatly appreciated. Thank you and congratulations once again. So with that, then we'll move on to our next agenda item, and that is persons to be heard. We have two people signed up. We have Mark Mason on Sunnyfield Road. For persons to be heard, you need to come to the podium. You need to state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to present to the council.
Mark Mason, 6605 Sunnyfield Road. I wasn't able to make the planning commission meeting, although I watched it on the video and I couldn't hardly hear anything. So just a point of interest for the future. I've lived at Sunnyfield Road for 41 years, lived there when the Bakoyaks were there and running 10 trucks, 260 days a year up and down the road. To the public works guys, that road is in great shape right now. I like it. And the Bakoyaks are great neighbors. Kelly and Steve have been great neighbors, and I'm able to say that the noise level is a lot less than it was. I've spent a lot of time at home since I retired in the last year and a half, and it's still very, very quiet there. The dust is not there anymore. The rooms are not there anymore. The road isn't giving out in the spring when restrictions are going, yet they still had to run trucks there, so it's got lots better. As far as where I live, I'm just to the south of the property line. And again, that place has always been a business since I moved in there. And I fully expect it to stay to be a business because that's always been the use of the property. It's not agricultural. It's not, well, it's somewhat residential, but I like businesses that are small businesses out in Minnetrista, and I don't feel they really bother anybody. or they've affected the nature of the neighborhood. The other thing is, a lot of these letters that have been written in, they aren't stating facts. A lot of it's speculative, saying this is going to happen, that's going to happen, the other thing's going to happen. And I don't think a lot of that's proven. If I was defending stuff like that, I would think of everything possibly that I could think of and promote it and see what stuck. So, as far as that goes, in 2040, I believe Met Council and the city of Minnetrista can change the zoning in that area. So that's only 14 years away. Are we just going to have Minnetrista developed by St. Bonnie or Kings Point, or is it actually going to be developed by the high school? There's already infrastructure there. There's a water tower there, lots of land around there. So does it make sense to bus the kids from Kings Point all the way to Sunnyfield? I think, again, with all the lots that are there, eventually that's all going to be developed.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yep,
Thank you.
again, with the public works, you guys are doing a good job. That road is fabulous. Is that you?
That's Gary.
Yeah. That's me.
Thumbs up. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have Kelly Gillespie. Do you want to wait until we get to your item? All right. That's all the people that we have signed up under persons to be heard. So we'll move on to our consent agenda items. Council, are there any that you wish to remove? Okay, with none removed, then consent agenda items include approve our city council regular meeting minutes from, I think it would be January 21st.
February 2nd.
February 2nd, I'm sorry. And then approve our claims, and then a resolution approving a simple subdivision between 7635 Highway 7 and 4520 Grimm Road. And D is a resolution approving an amendment to Park Capital Improvement Plan. And E is an award basketball court resurfacing at Jennings Park. And F is approve a joint powers agreement between Minnesota DNR and the city of Minnetrista for the rehabilitation of the public water access on Whale Tail Lake. And G is a motion to approve the squad computer replacements. All these things were in your packets. If you have any questions. Okay, hearing none, then do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items A through G?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Govern. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. So next we move, we don't have any public hearings tonight, and I want to make this clear. There's a difference between a public hearing and a public meeting. This is a public meeting, and the public is invited here. You're welcome to be here. That we encourage people to come to our meetings, but it's not a public hearing where we are legally obligated to listen to everybody that's here. If you didn't sign up under persons to be heard because of our weather, because all of these issues that are on our agenda tonight have been brought before us before, and they were also in front of the Planning Commission, and we have emails and letters from residents. I'm going to restrict or eliminate our public comments on these items tonight. I was at the Planning Commission meeting, and I will be sharing those comments with the council. I also know that the council members watched the video of the Planning Commission, and they're very much appraised at everything that was said. And so with that being said, we're going to move on to our first public business item, and that is the IUP for the 1195 and 1205 Sunnyfield Road North for the Gillespie Cohen IUP. I'm going to hand it over to David first.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. You covered the introduction nicely. The location map is located on your screen for the two properties in question, requesting the interim use permit. As the council probably recalls, this request was previously reviewed back in 2024, but the item was withdrawn by the applicant before the council could take any action on the item. The council shortly thereafter initiated the legal proceedings regarding the use of the property, and following mediation, the applicant has now reapplied for an interim use permit, which is where we're at this evening. When we're looking at interim use permits, the council should determine whether the use conforms with the zoning and is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Some of those key considerations include traffic, environmental impacts of the neighborhood character, and the surrounding land uses within that proposed IUP. As the mayor mentioned, there was a public hearing. Notices were sent out to all properties within 1,500 feet. Several written comments were submitted as the mayor alluded to. Those are part of your packet. The Planning Commission had their public hearing on January 26. After receiving testimony, the commission ultimately voted 4-2 to recommend denial of the request. As such, staff has prepared findings and a resolution before you this evening, which would deny the IUP, the interim use request permit. Staff is available for questions if you have any.
Okay, so I'm first going to take it to the applicant. If you have anything at this time that you'd like to add, if there's any additional information.
I was not able to print stuff tonight. There are things I would like to add because there is incorrect information that was given. And I just put a little bit of this together. It's only a few minutes long.
Ms. Cohen, could you speak into the microphone, please? Thank you.
Let me get a little. Is this thing bend? Okay. I did put something together I would like to read, and it addresses some of the incorrect factual information. It's only a few minutes long. So it basically is, we are here asking for a decision based on facts, law, and consistency, not personal opinion. This has been a commercial property since the 40s. It's not disputed in history. It is documented fact. We understand that due to a single complaint, the city disputes the status of the legal non-conforming use, and that it is the matter being obviously addressed through the court systems right now. What is not acceptable is a decision rooted in factual incorrect information. Even before the very first council meeting, the public agenda listed, and again tonight, denial of our application before deliberation had even occurred at that first meeting. So it does not reflect a transparent, or open decision-making process. It suggests a predetermined outcome rather than an evaluation of evidence. We've also experienced personal commentary and character judgments from a member of this council in place of substantive land use analysis. We've been informed through the legal counsel that the city does not like or trust us, comes from your legal counsel, despite repeated requests for us for dialogue that either gone unanswered or denied. The personal preference should never influence quasi-judicial land use decisions. In regarding to the Planning Commission findings, traffic on a daily basis at that property has been reduced by well over 60%, and that is a conservative number. During the spring and fall hauling seasons, activity is approximately 1.27 boats per day. That's fewer than 2 boats daily. The heavy-duty traffic, garbage dumps ripping up and down the roads on a daily basis all year round, that has been reduced by over 99.9%, so virtually all but eliminated. This activity also occurs during the workday when the majority of residents are at work. And then I'd like to address a statement made by the mayor following the Planning Commission meeting on the 26th after we left the room, where it was noted that they have trucks, RVs, trailers, and boats. For the record, the mayor has never visited our property. Yes, there are boats and trailers on the site. That's consistent with the marine storage operation. The renters have personal vehicles that drive to and from work, as should be expected. And the single RV referenced, in fact, is a privately owned fifth wheel that belongs to our family. So it's important that observations presented in public meetings reflect accurate context and actual understanding. The environmental portion of it. The Minnehaha Creek Watershed District has raised no objections. We've responded to every inquiry. The property has gone under significant cleanup and improvement. It is environmentally much safer and far cleaner today than when we acquired it. So if an environmental stewardship is a concern, the improvements made should weigh in favor of this application, not against it. As for the comprehensive plan, the city's own words in regarding to the consistency with the Minnetrista comp plan, and I quote, "The Minnetrista 2040 comprehensive plan sought to provide the opportunity
for commercial and job growth. That's the exact language that was used to approve a similar outdoor marine service storage operation 5 doors down from this property. And within the Ag District, the city is fully aware that the uses such as boat repair, boat storage, outdoor storage, auto repair, and marine storage all exist. Consistency and application of standards is essential. Selective enforcement undermines the integrity of this entire process. Yes, opposition emails were circulated based on a demonstrably false narrative, including a letter personally placed in mailboxes against federal regulations with instructions and a QR code directing opposition. Despite that effort, we still have over 80% of nearby residents who do not oppose us. In addition, we have nearly 50 residents in close proximity, including those on Sunnyfield Game Farm and West Branch, who support us. So that level of neighborhood support is quite significant. I know that we probably both don't want to be here dealing with any of this. I know you guys don't, I don't. And the amount of havoc this has created for my family and for me from a health-wise standpoint, which at times has been actually crippling. But I'll tell you what, through it all, this process has shown me some stuff. It's shown me that many of the Minnetrista residents are deeply concerned about transparency and fairness in this local governance. It has also revealed an overwhelming amount of support throughout the entire Minnetrista community for our business and our family. And most importantly, on a personal note, it's a strengthening my faith and my connection with God. I know God put us in this situation for a reason, and I will continue to walk through it faithfully. While it may appear that some decisions were made before facts were heard, which is the case here, I remain around the Proverbs. To do what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than the sacrifice. We're simply asking this council to do what is right, to apply standards consistently, to base its decision on evidence, and to ensure this process reflects transparency and fairness. Our request is not special treatment. It is equal treatment. And with that, we respectfully ask that our IUP application be approved based on the documented facts, the measurable impact reductions, the comprehensive plan consistency, and demonstrated community support. And I have a copy of the letter if anybody chooses to see it. I have a few of those.
You can,
If there is, what's that?
yeah, you can hand the letter to our officer, to Craig there, Chief Squires, and then if we can make copies. Thank you. Thank you. All right, council, any questions of the applicant? All right, none at this time. Thank you, Ms. Cohen. All right, so David, could you again walk us through the process? I know we've been accused of not being transparent, and I think that's a false statement. Can you kind of walk us through we went through a CUP application,
Interim use.
and then an IUP. So basically kind of have been through this process twice. Is that fair to say? I mean, a similar.
Correct, Madam Mayor. As mentioned in my presentation back in 2024, an IUP was applied for and
CUP.
IUP.
Oh, okay, okay,
Interim use permit.
okay.
And right before the council took a vote on that, the applicant withdrew that application. It's been reapplied for. We've followed the standard land use guidelines and proceedings with public hearings and notices and such that have gone out, and took a recommendation from the commission and now brought that to you for council for consideration.
Okay, so there's been public hearings, people have made comments, the planning commission has heard it, they've passed on the comments and to the council, and here we are today.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Council, any questions of staff?
I did have a question about, so just reviewing, since this is my first IUP, with that, when it talks about being consistent with zoning, If this was a business that was, say, storing and repairing farm implements, would that be consistent with the agricultural? So if they had tractors and harvesters and stuff on that, would that be considered to be consistent with the current zoning on that?
Well, if they were operating a farm business, there was an actual farm, they wouldn't need an IUP. That's an allowable use within the agricultural zoning district. So they wouldn't need any special permissions from the council for something like that.
Okay, so if it was essentially repairing farm-related stuff, and
Well,
if it was a business, they would need one, correct?
But if it's just their farm
IUP.
equipment that they're repairing, then they would. Excuse me.
okay,
If they're operating a farm implement business, they would need an IUP, and you're back to, the decision that comes down to the council as to whether or not is that a consistent use with the character of the surroundings of that neighborhood.
okay, thank you.
All right. I know we all have had an opportunity to watch the Planning Commission meeting, and also there were a number of emails later on this afternoon that came in support. And so I'm going to make a couple comments. We're not questioning the character or the integrity of the applicant. That's not our job. Our job is to look at the city ordinances and to apply them in the way that we see appropriate. And I think that's a fair statement. And when we receive an IUP, each IUP is reviewed on its own merits and on its own. And so there are, Ms. Gillespie-Cohen is correct. We did approve a operation on Sunnyfield, and we looked at how it would affect the surrounding properties, what would be the impact to the road, what are the impacts, and so on. And so we have to look at every application in and of itself. We can't look and say, well, we did this for this person, and now that's going to set a precedence for the next one. We don't, that's not how this works. We look at everyone and we say, okay, is this the right one for this property, for this neighborhood? We also, I think one of the planning commissioners stated, we do look at residents and what is their input and what do they have to say and how is it going to affect them? And we've, again, at the planning commission meeting and at the city council meetings and in our packet and the information that we've gotten, it is an overwhelming amount of individuals that have said no. But that's not why we're saying whatever decision we make, we have to base it on the findings of fact. We have to base it on our ordinances. So whether the Gillespies are a wonderful asset to the community or whether they're have great integrity and that's not part of our ordinance. And I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. We need to base it on what the council feels is most appropriate and what we see from our side of the fence, so to speak. And I don't think we've been unfair. I don't think we've been non-transparent. I think we've gone through the process and we've gone through it multiple times. So with that, I'm going to ask the council, what is your pleasure? Is there any desire to approve this?
No. I'd be inclined to improve it.
Okay, Claudia?
Just as you said, we have ordinances. We've had, Ms. Gillespie said there's a lot of support for her, but I've seen far more against it. But for me, it's following the rules, ordinances, and procedures. And I didn't see that happen.
All right, so is there a motion then to deny the application for the IUP at, I think it's 1195 Sunnyfield Road with the findings of fact as presented in our packet?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. Are there any further comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Nay?
Motion passes 4-1, and Mr. Govern says nay. So with that, we will move on to our next business item, and that is approving a comprehensive plan amendment at 7385, 7501, and 7365 Highway 7. I know some people are here for some of the comp plan amendments, and let's see, this one, is the karate property?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do that one first, and then we have the Bowl property, and I believe you folks might be here for that. No? Okay. So with that, I'm going to first hand it over to David.
Yeah, thank you again, Madam Mayor, members of council. As stated before you tonight is a comprehensive plan amendment, which affects about 162 acres located on the south side of Highway 7 near the Oak Road intersection. You can see the location on the screen above, on the big screen there of the property. The properties in question are currently guided urban reserve in our 2040 comprehensive plan, and they are zoned stage development district. With this request, the applicant is requesting that we re-guide the properties to residential low medium and with that, we'd be expanding our metropolitan urban service area, more commonly referred to as the MUSA. This would allow for development of the property. The applicant is working with M&I Homes and Rachel Development on a concept plan for the site. The proposed development is designed to meet the Metropolitan Council's 2050 requirements of 3.5 units per acre overall for the city. You can see the concept plan on the screen before you. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because the applicants do have a PowerPoint presentation that will give you much more information as to how they got to where they are and where they're at in the process of this whole proposal. In addition to the amendment of these properties, we also need to do a slight modification to our residential low category in our comp plan. We need to move the minimum of 1.15 units per acre to 2 units per acre. And that is a directive of the Met Council, which helps us achieve that 3.5 minimum.
Average.
Average,
Yeah.
correct. So this is the easiest path, if you will, for us to get to that 3.5 average across the city. So we've included that as part of this amendment if it were to be approved. Staff has reviewed the request and does find it consistent with the goals and policies of our 2040 comprehensive plan. The current stage development district zoning aligns with this proposed future land use, and the amendment does not alter the Metropolitan Council system statements or the forecasts that they've set for the city. In terms of public input, we did send notices out to property owners within 500 feet. Staff had one neighboring property have a call in, and we did have a phone conversation. We did not receive any formal comments prior to the Planning Commission public hearing. The Planning Commission did have a hearing on October 25th. There were approximately 9 individuals that spoke at that meeting. The primary concern was traffic, safety, and access on the Highway 7 was really the most of the concerns that were talked about. Long-term growth planning was brought up as well. But following that discussion, the commission ended up voting 4-1 to recommend approval of this request and forward it on to the council. Based on the findings outlined in the staff report, staff recommends approval of the comprehensive plan amendment subject to the conditions that are in the report. I'm certainly available for questions, and as I said, the applicants have a PowerPoint presentation that they can present.
Okay, so give me just a second, and then you'll do your presentation. Can you share with us, you said one resident called in and you had a conversation. Can you share their concerns?
Yeah, I think similar to the tone of the Planning Commission meeting with a lot of questions, but I think the overall access and
The
safety-
access to Highway 7?
Highway 7,
Okay.
how that would
Out
look.
of what? Out of Grimm Road possibly, or what? I mean,
Just access in general.
Okay.
At the time, there wasn't a concept plan put together.
Okay.
So access was unknown. It was just the overall, I think, concern with safety of Highway 7 as
Yeah,
all are well aware.
Yeah,
with
very well.
Safety studies that have been occurring and
Okay.
such. So yes.
And then can you also walk us through the process of this? Because I think people are somewhat concerned that they won't have any more opportunity to weigh in, and where are we at currently in the process?
Sure. So yeah, we held the public hearing regarding the specific request right now is for a comprehensive plan amendment. And that is it. That is to change the guidance of these properties from the stage development to that residential low medium density. The next, if that is successful, our next step is we'd have to submit that to the Metropolitan Council. They have anywhere from a 60 to 120-day review period for them to approve it. And if they approve it, we then have to, we can bring that back to you and ultimately approve that comp plan update. So that's the first step in the process. Next would come most likely, potentially will be a concept sketch plan review. It depends on how things go with the review with MnDOT and access and those sorts of things. How much will this concept change going through that process? So there could be a concept sketch plan review that would go through Planning Commission, Park Commission, and City Council. Most certainly, as we do with any development of this scale, we require the developer to hold a neighborhood meeting with the residents within the circumference of the property. It'd be a neighborhood meeting held by the developer. We require that prior to them submitting a preliminary plat application to the city. And that'd be the next step, would be a preliminary plat application and a rezoning application, which again would go, there'd be public hearing notices that would go out for those. That would go through our Parks Commission for park dedication requirements. That would go to the Planning Commission, where they would hold the public hearing, take comment, take written comment, and then they would ultimately make a recommendation to the City Council to approve that preliminary plat with the rezoning to a PUD. The step after that would be moving towards a final plat when they're really getting close to starting on getting work done on the site. So a final plat does not go through Planning Commission and Council. That goes straight to you, Planning Commission, Parks Commission. It goes straight to City Council, and that would be the last step in the process, if you will. All of this, as you'll probably hear from the applicant, is going to take some time, given the scale of this. And I'll let them give a little more detail on their timeline and where they're at in the process, but it's certainly going to take some time with all of the different agencies involved in what they're looking at here.
And I just want to make it clear for the public, we're not approving this plan tonight. This is a concept. They just kind of want to show the council and the neighborhood kind of what some ideas that they have. And obviously, I think the safety, we heard this on the other application as well, the safety issues and the access to Highway 7 is going to be really important. And that's going to be kind of beyond our control. That's going to be MnDOT that's going to make that decision. And the applicant or the developer, they're going to have to work with MnDOT to assure that everybody in this development, along with all of the other residents in the area, have safe access to Highway 7. So those are going to be some more discussions that we are going to have. So tonight, it's just, they're doing this as a courtesy to us to present us and walk us through what their initial ideas are. And we're not approving those ideas. We're just approving whether or not we want to even bring this property into the Metropolitan Urban Service area. So with that, I think we have Paul Robinson. Okay, if you want to come forward. Okay, good. Yes, that's fine.
Thank you very much. Okay. That's the big button?
The big button, yep.
And if you could introduce yourself, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. I'm Steph Griffin with MI Homes. I'm the Vice President of Land Acquisition for MI Homes, and I'm joined by Paul Robinson, Director of Development for Rachel Development. We're happy to be here tonight to discuss the comprehensive plan amendment, and I also have on here a simple subdivision application that was on consent tonight. This will all kind of come together as part of our presentation to understand that a little bit better. MI Homes and Rachel Development are under contract to purchase the Acrati-owned parcels of approximately 160 acres south of Highway 7 and west of Victoria Drive, east of Grimm Road. With over 25 communities in the Twin Cities, Metro, notably Woodland Cove, MI Homes is one of the top 3 home builders in the Twin Cities area. MI and Rachel Development, another experienced developer with over 100 projects and 6,000 residential units developed, have a long history of partnership over multiple projects in the Twin Cities. Our team's experience in Minnetrista includes both development and home building, particularly in Woodland Cove. And in addition, Rachel Development, I just would like to note, is also affiliated with the Charles Cudd Company, a renowned luxury home builder in the Twin Cities. So I'm going to turn it over to Paul right now to walk through the comprehensive plan amendment in more detail.
We saw this like on the Emmys and Oscars, people kind of.
And welcome back, Paul. I know it's been a while, but you've been here before, so, yes.
Paul Robinson, Rachel Development. I used to be with the Bancorp Group many years ago and worked with Carlson Companies doing Woodland Cove over a decade. And like I said to Lisa, when I got here, it kind of feels like coming home. So I really appreciate it.
We're still going to hold your feet to the fire, though.
That's fine. I don't expect any less. So first, we just kind of wanted to go through, why is this a good property to pick? And so it's the current 2030 MUSA area is very limited. There isn't much land left. The 2040 MUSA areas are also quite small, and they're made up of a lot of smaller parcels that are really hard to assemble. With the Karate property, we have a willing seller, which is always good. It's also right, adjacent to Woodland Cove, and it's really in the urban reserve, and it's in that next stage of development. And so it's also has easy access to city sewer and water, and so it kind of logistically in the right area. I already talked about Woodland Cove. It meets some of the goals of the 2040 plan. I think it will also meet the 2050 goals. And then I think we're a pretty well-known development team. And so I think you have somebody who's pretty reputable with MI Homes, Charles Cudd Homes, who's also built a number of homes in Woodland Cove. And so I think it's a well-known team. So you're going to be handled and treated well. So again, this is just to give a visual of where we're at. So we have the 2030 area. There we go. Again, looks like a lot of red, but a lot of that's lake. Then, okay, there's a lag in this and I'm kind of blowing it. I'm going to go back and try again here.
Okay.
But anyway, so then we go into the 2040 area, which again, as I mentioned, is just limited. And I did this big screen so you can see there is a fair amount of urban reserve area, when you look at different pockets in the city. And then the Aquati property obviously fits nicely into that right next to Woodland Cove. I was going to blow that up and just look at it a little closer. Again, here's the Karate property. We have Upland Farms for across the road. That's more of a rural development. But also we have these 3 other urban developments right around in that area. Again, we have the water tower and the water treatment plant right at Woodland Cove, a 12-inch water main kind of going along the north side of 7. The MCS twin force mains going on the south side, and then eventually goes to their force main lift station, which is also kind of a regional benefit. Again, there's the 2040, and I'm just showing you kind of see now more clearly all the different individual parcels that make that up. And then finally, here we are with the urban reserve with the Aquati property in it. And I know you all know this, but it's just kind of nice to see it sometimes. We at the public hearing, we were going to bring all of that area into the MUSA that you see on the screen today. With the lot split this evening, we're going to be taking out a portion of that. And part of what happened is we had a wetland delineation done. And so that's what we were relying on initially. And then after the public hearing, we got all our Alta information back, and there was a conservation easement on the property that actually is quite a bit larger than the wetland, and basically rendered some of that property for urban development made it difficult to develop it urbanly. So now we've split that off, and we have a little bit slighter, more limited area for the MUSA that doesn't abut those west properties.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that was why the lot split. So that then we can kind of just.
So that it'll be nice because there would be a buffer.
There's a buffer to the Grimm Road, folks.
To the Grimm Road.
Yep.
Okay. And then go back to the, I'm sorry, question. So below the green and then to the west of the yellow, is that park property? Show me what, yeah.
You're talking about this here?
Yeah.
No, that's not.
Okay. That's there. Okay. All right, all right. Okay.
I thought it was your property.
Okay,
Real life citizens.
and well, you know what, since it's one of you, I'll give one of you an opportunity to say a few words, since you're going to be right next door, if that's okay. So, but we're also going to require you to do a neighborhood meeting, and so you'll have plenty of to them as well, so.
Where does it drain to then? Does the property drain to the?
You give me just a second. I'll.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Paul, go ahead.
Okay, and so if we go through public hearing comments, I think, David, you went through basically most of them, but again, a lot of comments about traffic, which makes sense, right? We're
Right.
on 7. We are meeting with MnDOT. We are working through that process. And I don't know if you brought up the EAW, but another piece of this is that
Right,
we're working through an environmental assessment worksheet,
Right.
and in that is a traffic study. And so that will be also informing your decision in the future and how all the access works and on Highway 7. There's questions about sewer water capacity. I think Allison was able to answer some of those, not at the hearing, but in general, that there is capacity available. The Grimm Road, we talked about that there be a buffer now to those folks. There was this concern about loss of rural character and being pushed out of this feeling. And again, it's in the urban reserve and it was guided toward future development. So I think that was just really the response at that. And questions about why, the 3.5 acres, which has been sort of a new Met Council mandate, as you all know. And maybe you helped fight that back.
we fought it, it was 4 units, you can thank me, now it's 3.5.
I'm in a community that went from 8 to 14.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then I just wanted, this is a disclaimer on the comp plan. I think you already are on the concept plan. You already kind of said this. It's an early draft, right? We're trying to give you an idea of what we're looking at doing, but we're going to get informed by your comments, by maybe Minnehaha Creek or other governmental units, some additional work and due diligence that we're doing. But we did give it a good shot and we did study the property. So this isn't a willy-nilly concept. This is an actual real concept that could be built, but I think it will be changed probably over time. So again, the karate property in red, and this is just giving some idea what's around it. So we have the Three Rivers Park District, obviously to the south. We have Woodland Cove over to the east. A lot of just larger single family lots to the north, and some existing farms to the west primarily. And then the commercial area in Woodland Cove, and then some on Highway 7. So when we look at a property, we look at all of the constraints of the property. So in this case, obviously Highway 7 and the right of way that's going to need to be dedicated for that is a significant one. We went and delineated the wetlands. This is the area of wetlands and buffer as shown is about 21 acres of wetlands. We will do a tree survey. We haven't done that yet, but on aerial photo, you can kind of see this is generally where there are trees. So there will be some tree impacts. I mean, we are saving some of the forested area. It's fairly limited. It's not like covering the whole site. Not like Woodland Cove, which was more woodland.
right.
And then we'll obviously look at the existing topography and how does that affect the drainage and where does the water go? So there's two primary low spots. There's another low spot I didn't show on the east side, but it's a very teeny little watershed area. But the lowest point is at 940 in the north. So eventually all the water gets up to that point and then goes west. And
Seems counter,
it does.
it
does.
seems counter.
And the high point of the property, and you can kind of see the color, it goes, greens, yellows up to red. So that just kind of follow the color up to the highest point is at 1046. So there's 106 feet of elevation change on the property, which is, again, it's very similar to Woodland Cove. There was about over 100 feet there as well, although that was a much bigger property. And so then how does that affect water flow? So we have water that's coming into the site across 7, right up in the north, kind of comes into that wetland. And then for the most part, the majority of the water goes to the west. It follows that 966 where I have that label there and goes into the wetland and then goes north and flows again up to that 940. So you can kind of see how the water kind of flows off the site. And then this is just in general, some of it, obviously everything flows from the high to the low. So, and down into the wetland complex and then out. And then in total, we have about 18 acres of ponds. And I kind of went fast, but what all that does is kind of inform us about where the ponds should go. And so when you see the concept plan, it kind of makes logical sense that they're at these low points before the wetlands, before the water leaves the site.
And again, we're going to be looking at this.
This is-
Again, this,
Yeah, and these ponds could change in size. I mean, we haven't
Right.
done a complete stormwater management plan,
right.
but we have a pretty good feel, right? Like where this has to happen, and this is the initial steps. Access onto 7, obviously one of the big issues. So we look at the current accesses, right? Grimm Road, Upland Farms, Oak Road. We proposed the high point. We had an early meeting with MnDOT, and we did get some initial indication that seemed to make sense to put it in the center and at the high point of the site. We also are proposing a right in, right out, just to help alleviate some of that pressure on that area. It won't, and provide another access in and out to the site. And then, again, this is just the location of the sewer and water, which I kind of talked about earlier, though, that water main on the north side, and then the twin force mains on the south side going up to the lift station. And then we take all that information, put it together, and put together a concept plan, and you'll just kind of see it sort of emerge from the bottom here. And that kind of makes sense of how we fit it into the site that we have. And now I'm going to turn it over. This is our part of our tag team, and have Stephanie go through the.
And again, all this is prefaced on whether or not Met Council approves the so.
If you want to approve it all tonight, that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. You didn't pick it off easy. No, it's going to go through the process, and and I'm sure there'll be some changes, so.
And I think too important to note, you were at the planning commission meeting and we heard, we were working on this. What we were waiting for at that time was our ALTA and our title commitment. There was just a lot coming together at that
Right.
time, which is part of why it's taken us from October till now to get here. But I think it was really important to show a site plan that was well thought through. A site plan, as Paul mentioned, can be generally engineered and built, but obviously there's going to be feedback and much more taken into account as the process moves forward. So I will just quick touch on kind of giving you a vision of what we see the home types being. I think it's really important as we're talking about a comp plan amendment of how does this come back to the comp plan amendment. This comes back to the comp plan and how we meet the goals of the city, which just to kind of reiterate a couple of the comp plan points that I think are important too as we talk about home types is Minnetrista would like to attract families to homes with yards for kids and families. At the same time, Minnetrista's comp plan says they would like to provide a variety of housing styles to allow residents to remain in Minnetrista throughout their lives and support their efforts to live and maintain an engaged life in the city. So I think that's what we achieve here with a variety of housing types, all in the same context of that net density, that key number of 3.5 units to the acre. So we've designed this site with all the characteristics and constraints that Paul has discussed. So I'll just start with on the west side here. Let's see if I can get the clicking done right. We intend to have townhomes, both, these would be our 2-story townhomes, both with slab on grade. And then here you see a walkout basement. The clicker works, then those would be the slab on grade, just how the topography works there. Our townhomes begin at about 1,600 square feet and go up to just around 2,000 square feet. And then we come to the east of on the site here, and we would plan a range of detached single-family homes. These ones we're looking at right here would all be MI homes, similar to what you see in Woodland Cove. So a range of different lot sizes. What this allows us to do is provide, again, a variety of housing types for a variety of needs and families. And we would also provide 2-story and single-level living, all detached single-family homes with a variety of 2- and 3-car garages, a mix of basement and slab on grade. And these home sizes range about 1,700 square feet all the way to above 3,000 square feet. And then as we get down to the southeast portion of the site, this is where we envision really taking advantage. This whole site really does take advantage of the beauty and the vistas and maintaining a lot of the natural beauty the site does boast. This side, as we get closer to the park, which is bordering us to the south, We envision this being a Charles Cudd company, more of a luxury, renowned kind of luxury home site for likely one level HOA maintained luxury villa living. And I know that is also in Woodland Cove as well. And so as we get to put it all together, oops, sorry, the clicking is really challenging. As we put all of it together, you can see everything coming together to that 357 total units. And we're going to go to the next slide and show you how this all comes out with a net acre calculation, which is so important, tying it back to this comp plan amendment. How are we meeting Met Council's requirements of the 3.5 units per acre, and also meeting the city's needs and desires through via your comp plan? So we have the 147 gross acres. Just again, this is approximate concept plan stating the asterisk again. We're going to take out wetlands and buffers, ponds and outlots, as well as the right of way that would be required for Highway 7, and we net approximately 99.3 acres. That gets us to around the 3.6 units per acre that we're going to need to meet for Met Council's requirements. Again, important to note what we are. This density is important to note too, that we do, I mean, this will need to be worked through as we work through the process here, that this does net out pond outlots. So something that might be a little unique here, and those would have to be in a public outlot in order to be removed from our density calculation.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And then I'm going to keep moving here for you so we can just tie this up. I think just important, we have very limited wetland impacts on here, roughly 4% of all wetlands. So we're really trying to conserve those. And let's just get through. Buffer along Highway 7 was also considered in this, and getting us, as Paul had mentioned, some significant open space, totaling almost 50 acres, which is about 33% of the entire gross area of the site. There we go. And I think we already kind of walked through the timeline, so I think David did a great job of explaining the process. Again, early stages, plenty more opportunities. One thing just to note, we heard a lot of questions of when would first homes be there. At this rate, we would expect starting development spring of 27, first homes beginning in the fall of 2027.
Because you have to put in some infrastructure first.
Just a
so,
few.
yeah.
And important to note too, the environmental assessment worksheet is really a key here too. That
Right.
will be a process
Yeah.
that we are already well underway on.
Okay.
So I think that I will try to just keep it short and sweet and
Okay.
stand for any questions and let Paul join me if you'd like.
Do we have any questions? Again, so one of the things, it was on the Bull property but similar, I mean, it's, that came up by the Planning Commission. And I did mention, and I think Paul mentioned this, just so you are aware, we have very few lots and units available. And as you know, we're building a very expensive water treatment plant. So we would welcome a few more units. They won't come immediately, but this seems like good timing. But the other thing I think that needs to be pointed out is we're on the cusp of having to update update our comprehensive plan. And so this is really only a year or two ahead of the game, so to speak. It's not like this could be postponed for another 10 years. That's probably not going to happen. Even if this isn't approved right now, this is probably going to happen within the next year or two. I think that's fair to say that this would be the area where we would add more MUSA and so where we would expand the MUSA. Is that fair to say, David?
I think that's a lot. I mean, yeah, correct, Madam Mayor. I mean, we do have another comp plan update coming up, and as you said, our inventory is low. So there is a need for through that process to find more land. Logically, you work around in the stage development areas where you have your utilities. So it would not surprise me that this area or others around here would be part of that.
Part of that. And also, we'll be on the hook. The Met Council will determine how many units we have to incorporate into our comp plan, into our updated comp plan. And so with that said, then we have to look around and we have to say, okay, we have this land available, this many units available, and we have to put in X number of units. So this is something, and these are willing sellers, willing developers coming. So again, we're not jumping the gun by 8 or 9 years. We're jumping the gun maybe by 2 years. Just so we're aware of that. I think that's something that we should be cognizant of. So any questions of Jennifer or Paul or staff? All right, thank you. I'm just going to ask a quick question of the neighbors that are right next door to this. What are your, if you can come to the podium and just answer a quick question, what are your primary concerns? If you, oh, you have none. You have none. There you go. We're covered.
Mark Segner, 4705 Grim Road. Okay. So I represent our family.
Okay.
Okay. We've been farming there for 145 years.
Wow.
So it's easy for you guys to come in and you know, I mean, you got the money coming in, commission, you know, I get it. But this is land that we've worked our whole life. Our families through generations have worked this whole life. And then, you know, it doesn't mean as much to you guys to come in and deal with that. But, and I understand the development that you all have to go through and do what you have to do.
Right.
Okay. So, and I get it. It's a timeline of what's going to happen. It's the future. I get it. I guess otherwise, besides all the other issues that have been brought up, my concern is, if I can step away a minute.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we are here, okay? This is all pasture land,
Okay.
okay? This entire area, this, of course, is going to be the issue of importance.
Right. Right.
We have 30 head, usually around 30 head of beef cattle out there,
Okay.
okay? So we.
Do they moo a lot?
What?
Do they moo a lot? I know, seriously, that's a good question. And that sound travels. Okay.
Only in the fall when they get rid of the babies.
All right.
But the issue is, so fencing around the area is adequate at the moment, okay? It will need to be upgraded, and I'm not that concerned about the cattle getting out. Worried about the residents
Getting
in.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know, obviously, I mean,
Right.
I don't want to, but like trespassing,
Right.
noise levels of all sorts of things. I mean, where
Right.
my home is, I cannot see that area from there.
Okay.
So is there, have you ever put anything of thought?
I have to ask a question.
What we can do to kind of minimize something to keep that from happening?
Mark, some of these are exactly the reasons why we require the developer to have a neighborhood meeting and find out what your concerns are and how they can address them. And we had to do this with the Woodland Cove development, and they had a meeting, and then people, and you guys would want to be there and give them all this information, because not only are we concerned about you and how it's going to impact you and how we could possibly minimize that impact, but we're also concerned about the new residents that are going to be there and how they're going to be affected, or how they need to understand what their limitations are. So if I could, to kind of move this along, if you don't mind, say you need to sit down with a developer and even if staff, I don't know if, usually staff isn't there, but if there's only a few people, you could meet here at City Hall and you could go over your concerns, because we too are concerned about that. We're not.
I'm just bringing it up.
But that's a good
right.
points. And I know we had those same issues with the Turtle Creek development. I don't know if you were here at that time, but they butted up to a farm and we had same issues. I mean, same concerns. So
Yep.
I'm sure we'll be able to work them out, hopefully. So,
Okay.
so thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Thank you, Mark, for those comments. And again, The sketch plan is a sketch plan, and those concerns are going to be addressed, and we'll work through those. So
Madam Mayor?
hopefully, yes.
Yes, Sarah.
Yes, Sarah.
Yes, I just wanted to point out there is a right to farm law, and that protects farmers and ranchers from public and private nuisance actions. So basically that protects them from, if somebody's complaining about the noise or the smell, basically the city can't take action against them because they were there first and they have the right to farm. So
Right.
that's just something to keep in mind here.
Okay, good point. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. And that's something I think the developer needs to be aware of as well, because they need to make because they'll want to make an effort so that their new residents aren't impacted as well. So we'll work through that. All right. Then any other questions at this time? Again, this is high level, just the MUSA amendment. All right.
How's our water capacity for 357 more homes? When the new plant and clear well storage are?
That'll have to be addressed with this development. We'll have to look at piping being brought all the way down from the new water treatment plant into this development. So that's something that will have to be addressed.
Capacity?
I think that was the plan.
That's the plan.
Yeah, we had a 2050 plan, and the other good thing is, you were saying 2027, 28, new homes would be there. So the plant should be done by then, or very close to being done. So that's the other reason I think we're in a time frame that really would work for everyone. A good question. All right, any other questions? Otherwise, is there a motion to approve the comprehensive plan amendment at 7385, 7501, 7365 Highway 7? This would be the Akrati property.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Govern. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. So you will be in touch, and you will be in touch with them. So, all right, thank you. Next, we have another comprehensive plan amendment at 9400 Highway 7. And I think, so I'm going to first hand it over to David, and then the applicant is here if you wish to add anything. All right.
Yeah, thank you again, Madam Mayor and members of council. Same request for a different property, 9400 State Highway 7. Location maps on your screen. It's the kind of the bottom southwestern corner of the city of Minnetrista, right on the county line, if you will, between Hennepin and Carver County. There's 68 acres that is part of this site. This property is currently guided permanent agricultural, and it's zoned agricultural preserve. As similar to the last request, they're requesting that we re-guide the property to residential low medium and expand our MUSA area to allow for future development. In this case, the applicant is working with Brandel Anderson on a concept plan, which is on your screen. Again, similar to the last one, this is a concept plan. It'll go through all those same stages as we just discussed with the neighborhood meeting, so on and so forth. The plan that's being presented to you on your screen this evening does meet the density goals as we've been talking about at that minimum of 3.5 units per acre. And they're achieving that with the plan that is being presented. Similar to the last, we do find that that is consistent with our 2040 comprehensive plan. There is a slight difference here. This property is currently guided permanent agricultural, but if some of you will recall back in our 2030 plan, this property and the one next to it was actually in the urban reserve. So we did at one time plan to have these properties in the same state as what you previously just approved. So it's not too far of a stretch to change the designations here for future urbanization, because that was part of our 2030 plan at one time and point. Again, this does not alter our Metropolitan Council forecast for the city or our system statements. Similarly, we had notices go out within 500 feet. Similar to our last request, we only had one call from one of the adjacent property owners with staff in a discussion, similar discussion about traffic, future growth in the city, and those sorts of conversations. There was no written comments submitted. The Planning Commission held their hearing on January 26. Several people did get up and speak, and again, very similar in nature to our last request. This is on State Highway 7. largely the big elephant in the room, if you
Access,
will.
yeah.
There's lots of concerns and talks and studies that have been going on there with that. Similarly, they're going to have to work with MnDOT on this. It's already been brought up as a concern. There's only, as proposed, there's only one access to the site. Preliminarily, there's been some talk about, you can see the narrow strip that goes down to Highway 7. There's been some very early conversations about, is there an opportunity there to gain just a right in, right out type access point, so you have more than one. But again, without the property next door developing, it gets pretty limited to what you can do with access to State Highway 7. But as we said, we'll have to work with MnDOT on that to figure out what they're willing to allow or not allow there, and what makes sense from a public safety standpoint for ingress and egress to the site. The commission did vote 6-0 to recommend approval. Based on the findings in the staff report, we are recommending approval of the comprehensive plan amendment subject to the conditions. And just like our last one, pending your action tonight, we'd send this on to the Met Council for review.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask something?
Yeah.
At the Met Council review, do they usually approve them?
If you're following the guidelines, correct, yes. And so the difference, little bit of difference here, this property doesn't meet the threshold of a EAW, whereas the last one did. So this one might go a little quicker. They have to go through their EAW process, but yes, I mean, then that's why you have to put a concept together to show that you can meet the requirements. And we're following their guidance too, with changing some of our categories. So I would suspect, we've already had much contact with the Met Council and our reps and showed them these plans and been working with them on making tweaks. So I can't guarantee it, but I would think that they would.
Okay. And I know there's a representative. Is there anything you need to add or would like to add? Do you have a PowerPoint? Thank you.
Like the one you just saw, but I can talk about a lot of the same items. My name is John Anderson. I represent Brandel Anderson Homes. Brandel Anderson Homes is a local builder, been in business for quite a few years. They're based out of Burnsville, and they build about 75 to 100 homes a year. Some of the closer projects that they're working on right now is they have a site in Carver that they're just about finished out with. I think they've about a dozen lots left in there. They got a new site in Chanhassen, which has the villa product and the townhome product that you see on this concept plan. That's currently under construction, and they'll have houses going up there probably midsummer. And a new site they're going to be developing in Waconia as well, which is a 56 lot single family project. That'll be a summer project as well. So a lot of stuff in the Dakota Scott County areas also. So basically we have done a lot of the background stuff like wetland delineation, tree inventory, the Alta survey. We don't have any title issues or anything like that we're dealing with. We do have the wetlands delineated. There's one very small one up in kind of the very northern thing. It's a farmed wetland. I think it's like a couple tenths of an acre, and that's the only one we're projecting to impact. There's most of the site is a farm field, so there's not a lot of trees that'll be impacted either. Maybe along the backyards, we might touch into a couple little areas like on the kind of northwest side of the site, but overall it's pretty much open at this point. We have been talking with the city, along with, we've already met with Minnehaha Creek Watershed. We've talked with MnDOT about the access points and some of that discussion. We've also looked at, like I said, the DNR for wetlands and different things of that nature. So we've kind of gone through that, looked at our soil borings. Everything's looking pretty positive from a design engineering type standpoint. This layout here currently shows 233 units. That'd be 110 of the larger single family lots, which is the yellow product on the map. 52 villa lots, which is kind of the orange, and then there's a townhouses on the south end, kind of closer to Highway 7, and that's 71 units. As we are working into our details on our engineering, which would be ponding, working with the water reuse for the irrigation for the site, there are some tweaks that are being made right now with grades and elevations and different things like that. We have looked at how the roadways will also stub to the property to the east. And I know that property is not part of this development, but some point in time, most likely that will be developed, whether it's a year from now or 20 years from now, we just don't know at this point. But the big one that we've been dealing with is MnDOT. We are going to be upgrading Buck Lake Road. Technically, that roadway is a Watertown Township road in Carver County, so that will be upgraded, paved. We've had initial discussions, don't seem to be any major issues with that long-term with MnDOT. The access point, the right in, right out through that little stub That's looked at as possibly a temporary right-in, right-out. And at one point in time, the property to the east developed. There's proposed to be another access point kind of down the southeast corner of that site. It's right where Wildwood Avenue and Hunter's Trail come together. That would be a full or a 3/4 intersection on Highway 7 based on their law. That would extend north and probably tie into the middle access point. So that's where we would have a long-term secondary access. At that point, if that right-in, right-out is constructed, that would most likely go away at that point and could be replaced with a trail access, tying that development out to maybe a future trail on Highway 7 or something like that. So specific details, we're not quite there yet, but we're getting closer. So we do have, all that's being looked at in the design. Another item that we've been dealing with is the sewer lines and things like that. There will be a lift station needed for this property. And if you look in the middle, there's kind of a middle pond that's kind of touching to the wetland area, kind of the northwest of the site. We're expecting the lift station will be somewhere in that location or adjacent to that. And talking about drainage, like you did earlier, pretty much most of this site will drain to the northwest, then it kind of loops back around back to the east as it gets further north. There's a few areas on the edges of the properties that might drain different directions, but the majority of property and all our stormwater drainage will go that direction at that time. Overall, this site does meet the new threshold for the Met Council. We're at approximately 3.7 units an acre right now, so a little bit above that 3.5. To achieve that, we did have to have the like townhomes and villa product, which is very similar to what you've seen in the last layout, having a couple different types of products.
So you'll have competition.
Yeah, or they'll have competition. Yeah.
Build faster.
No, we're very excited about this location. Brandel Anderson Homes actually was one of the builders way back in the Hunter's Crest days. So they have built in this community before. It's been quite a few years when that was all built out, but they were one of the original builders into that project. So very, very familiar with the location. Basically, that's something that I think we know, kind of where we're going. And like I said, we're here tonight to ask for the comp plan amendment, which is kind of the first step. We know we'll be scheduling a neighborhood meeting probably, I don't know, maybe the next month or two is kind of our plan as we get a little more of the details worked out. Because I know we are tweaking a couple of the locations of some of the villa lots versus the townhome lots due to grade. So there's a lot of up and down on this site as well with the hills out there. And it's easier to put the townhomes on a flatter site than a hillier site. So we're trying to get them in the areas that, to limit our grading. So we're not, moving dirt all over the place, save a little money that way.
Mr. Anderson, have you had a chance to talk to any of the surrounding properties yet?
We have
Okay.
talked to some of the neighbors to the
Okay.
west. I know at the planning commission meeting when we were here, I talked to them for quite a while afterwards.
Okay.
And, obviously the biggest concern is traffic out to Highway 7, which I think you heard from the last one as well. We are going to be upgrading those roads and have been dealing with MnDOT on that. So we have, I don't want to say a final, this is what we're doing, but I think we have an understanding where this is going. Obviously, we have to submit a permit with any application through them.
Right.
We have to meet their requirements.
I think their issue was where the road comes out to Highway 7 and there's a big hill. That's one of the things that they mentioned and how that is going to be addressed. So that's something you'll have to be talking with the neighborhood about.
Correct. And we have been looking at that
Yeah.
with MnDOT and
Okay.
discussions we've had as far as all that. So
I'm sorry, when you say you were talking to MnDOT about it, the Buck Lake Road, are they talking about just leaving that as a general intersection or doing a roundabout or what?
Well,
kind of
right
interest
now, I
point?
think it's just, the thought is to just be a general intersection where we'd have the turn lanes like a normal roadway. Long-term, it depends what happens, for instance, west of Minnetrista in Carver County. There's some properties over there. And I know if you look at where our lift station is and what areas could be potentially served by that, it could serve quite a bit of area to the west as well with the capacity available and how that would all flow. Now, not saying that's going to come into the city anytime soon or anything, but long-term, if MnDOT looks at it, and this is kind of what the discussion I've had is that road might get shifted west a little bit to offset that. Also, with where that lines up, if you were to make that a full intersection to the south, you would run into the Hunter's Crest neighborhood. So you have to shift that to west to make that a full intersection to begin with. But for the time being, as this project goes, where the location is, it's my understanding this is a site or a location that would work. And then as long-term development happens, potentially to the west there, which might be decades, who knows, then maybe that gets shifted at that point and a whole new intersection or, whether that's a roundabout or a 3/4, I don't know that answer at this point. But that is
I
stuff.
think we'll have to look at that because I think that's really important. Because if you're going to have, how many homes here?
233 is the current count. That could shift one way or
Right.
the other a little
So
bit.
that's a lot of, it's going to be a lot of traffic in and out. So we'll want to make sure that everybody can get in and out. Also the existing residents there that live on Buck Lake Road. So,
Yep.
I think that'll have to be
Yeah.
big discussion.
We have to meet the requirements of
Right.
MnDOT and,
Right.
whatever needs to be there for
Okay.
capacity on that.
Allison, for the Highway 7 Coalition, was that intersection talked about ever?
That intersection was not. We kind of ended the discussions at Wildwood and
Mhm.
Hunter's Crest. And, I think the last time we talked about it, looking at the 3/4 intersection at Hunter's Trail with this property coming in and looking at, potential, once the property to the east develops, looking at that connection to Highway 7, I think that would be probably the full access point would make more sense at Hunter's Trail, just off the cuff. And then as Mr. Anderson indicated, is looking at the next intersection being pushed potentially to the west. But, certainly this is down the road, so to speak, when it comes to improvements on the Highway 7 corridor.
And I've also had
Independent.
conversations with MnDOT about that study and Buck Lake Road. And kind of the comment was, we wish we would have added it, but it's past that time now. And it's one of those items that it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
They've got a lot of work already in the corridor that they already selected, so
And they don't have enough money to even do that.
Yep.
So,
Timeline?
So timeline, basically our plan is, like I said, we don't meet the EAW threshold like the previous project. So our goal is we're working on design stuff right now, and we do hope to have a neighborhood meeting here in the next, say, 60 days, and then be looking to submit, plans to the city for review. And our goal is to have dirt moving out there yet this year and hopefully have some ability to get a couple model homes at best case scenario or worst case scenario up going this fall before winter, so we could have a spring kind of opening next spring with those model homes. So, and we're looking at approximately, as of right now, about 4 phases that could adjust depending on how the market and sales go. One other point I want to make about this property, you have the new city water tower directly adjacent to the south. This property, or that water tower site, was actually purchased off of this property by the city a few years back when they put that in. So this is kind of the remainder of that parcel at this point. So water, obviously water lines and, towers right there. Sewer lines, we're working on that.
just because you can see the tower doesn't mean that water is available.
Oh, but we kind of
Nicely painted tower.
We are looking at the sewer. There's a sewer in Hunter's Crest has sewer down there, and we are working with that right now. I've submitted a kind of a concept plan. We're actually meeting with the Hunter's Crest watershed. I think it's Tuesday next week, or not watershed, homeowners association.
Okay, HOA.
To discuss, all that and talk about, because we do have to connect them to a manhole and just let them know what's going on and try to find the best route and the most, or the easiest way to.
I think you have to talk with St. Bonnie as well.
Yep.
Yep. So, okay. Yep.
So yeah, that's where we're at, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're going to be challenged with the Highway 7 and the access, a safe access for everybody. So keep that in mind.
Yep, no, we're fully aware.
We'll try and come up with a really good solution. I think staff and engineers and everything will hopefully be able to all work together to come up with the best solution for everyone. So that's always been a big issue with the Woodland Cove development. And I know it's going to be for both of these developments. So, all right. Any other questions? So this is the first step and a few more to come. There's no more questions or no more comments. Is there a motion to approve the comprehensive plan amendment at 9400 Highway 7?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. Any further questions? Comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. So next, speaking of streets, we're moving on to our 2026 street improvement project. Good news.
Yes, Mayor Whalen and members of council, we had good news. We had the bid opening for the project.
Hold on just a second, Allison, just a minute.
And I apologize for being late. It took me almost
know.
an hour to get here from
Yeah.
41. There was 2 semis that were coming out on a
Well,
tow truck.
Yeah, I missed that.
Ms. Kowski, all I can say is anybody that was late only loses 2 points.
I was late to the work session because of it.
It was a nightmare out there, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, here we are this evening. So just a quick background, everybody's pretty clear on this, but just wanted to go over the scope of the project. The map here shows the streets that are included in this year's project. We identified these streets based on the pavement conditions and then had cores to go and confirm the scope of the work. Majority of the project being a mill and overlay. And then there's portions where we will have to do full depth removal and replacement. So here's some examples, recent photos from recent projects showing what's been done. Trillium Lane and Windridge Trail were both done this year. I mentioned the street work that we'll be doing. We'll also be doing some spot curb and gutter repair. We'll go out and mark that up after we get the spring thaw in there and we can identify what curb needs to be replaced. We included a bid alternate for the underseal of Game Farm Road, which is where you essentially do like a seal coat in between the 2 layers of pavement. There's been some good research showing that helps increase the longevity of a road, and with it being a state aid project, or a portion of that road being state aid, a portion of that cost would be state aid fund eligible. So we thought that would be a good alternate to include in the bid package.
But the portion that's going to get the underseal is not part of our MSA funding, correct?
No, it would be.
It would be?
Yeah, we did if I recall correctly, we had an underseal bid for the whole length of Game Farm. So the portion that's state aid, that's a state aid route, is eligible for state aid.
Just the portion that's, yes,
correct.
that's what I'm saying.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we included that as a bid alternate. We also included trail improvements as a bid alternate. And then as well as included in the base bid would be pedestrian ramps because that's required by the ADA, the federal ADA requirements. And then we also have utility improvements included within the project. In the base bid would be to put inflow and infiltration barriers and sanitary sewer manholes. You can see a picture of that in the top right-hand corner. You know, I know you guys love seeing those pictures, so I like to include them. We also have some culvert work on Game Farm Road based on some recommendations from Public Works. We included that as the base bid. And then we also included an alternate for the hydrant replacement. You can see on the bottom photo there's a hydrant in the walkway. We included a bid alternate to move that to the south side of the road, and we'll keep the council posted if council wants to pursue with that option. We did get a good price on that. And just today, Public Works Director Peters and I were talking about we might want to look at moving that, keeping that relocation on the north side so that we're not going up against a retaining wall. So discussion to be continued, but we did get some good prices on that and want to get that hydrant out of pavement.
Yeah.
A recommendation, I should say, to get the hydrant out of.
We want people running into it.
For kids to jump over.
So we had a bid opening last week. We received 6 bids. And included in the packet and on the table here, this is the total bid that includes a 5% construction contingency and a 20% indirect cost. So you can see here we had, before we opened bids, we were just over 3.5 million in our estimate. That's with all 3 bid alternates. If we look at all three bid alternates, Northwest is the lowest at just over 2.7 million. And if we included W.N. Mueller as an opportunity to look at if we don't do bid alternate 1,
They came in at 2.7. So I wanted to have a bit of a discussion with that this evening because they had, I talked to them after the bid opening. I said, did you have a data entry error? And they said, yes, we did. In the trail cost. So as you can see, their price for the trail improvement, that is much higher than what we saw for the other bids. And included in your packet is a summary of all the bids received. And you can see that the trail improvements were, I think, between 27 and like 35. I have that on a later slide here. So I wanted to include the lowest two bids for discussion this evening because staff recommendation, based on the staff recommendation, we're looking at not awarding bid alternate one, and I'll go into that in a little more detail here. So if you look at the difference in the base bids between Northwest and WM Mueller, you've got about $79,000 cost savings with Mueller's base bid. And then if you look at the bid price range that we had for bid alternate one, it's between $25,000 and $37,000. So what staff discussed doing is if bid alternate one is not awarded with this project, we have the plans to do the trail work, and Public Works Director Peters did reach out to a couple contractor that he's used for trail work in the past, and they would be interested in submitting a quote. And so we talked about, instead of doing it with this project, that we would have it as a quote instead with the contractors that Mr. Peters has been in contact with. And we would certainly ask if Mueller would like to submit a price to that, but we can't do it as part of this project because that would be
In violation
of the
right.
of the
Well,
competitive bidding.
and actually, it's good that we did these alternates because you can take out alternates and you can say, no, we don't want them, and we'll do them later or whatever.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
right. So I think that was a good call.
Okay, so are there any questions on the math here? I kind of went through the slide a little too much longer than I should have, but I wanted to demonstrate the math behind the recommendation not to award bid alternate one. And we've spoken to both Northwest and Mueller to talk about what the staff recommendation is. So there isn't any surprise in, if they were to pick up the packet and see what staff recommendation is. We did chat with them.
And Mueller has worked here before. We've worked with them.
Yes. Yep. Mueller was here in 2023. They were the paving contractor for the reconstruction project.
Mhm.
And then the next year in 2024, they came in and got that project in and out very quickly and efficiently. So they've been the Northwest has been a good contractor too. They did the Sunnyfield Road project in 2020.
Yep.
So we would do base bid and alternate 2 and 3. That is staff's recommendation.
Right. For a total of $25,71,478.
Yep, so I have that on the later slide, but I just wanted to quickly go through because we are proposing to assess a portion of the project cost. And one of the actions here for council this evening is a request to call the assessment hearing. So it's the assessable portion of the project is the full depth removal and replacement of a portion of Game Farm Road that's just to the west of the water treatment facility. And so we have, there we go. So this is a map from that was pulled from the feasibility report that shows the parcels that were proposed to be assessed. And then I just wanted to note that parcels 3 and 5 have been combined. So the proposed assessment for parcel 5 is now 0. And that was based on, if council recalls from last year's street improvement project, we had a couple property owners that did that. So we were proactive in this instance and reached out to this property owner, and they opted to do that. So we are looking at proposed assessments capped at $10,000 based on the special benefit analysis that was done for the 2023 street improvement projects. If we did not cap those assessments, I would estimate, I did a quick calculation today, the assessments based on what we received for bids would be just over $16,500. So even though we got some really good bids, those assessments based on the city's assessment policy still would exceed $10,000. So.
Well, and I know we keep saying we're going to be running into this because of construction costs and what the actual improvement value is to the properties. And so that's why we've been using the 2023 numbers. And I think that's fair. That's, you know, so anyhow, I think 16,000 would just be way over.
Too much.
Yeah, way too much. All right.
So this slide here shows the proposed funding based on staff's recommendation. So we're looking at funding sources, multiple funding sources, the majority being from the city of Minnetrista, the Street Improvement Fund at just over 1.6 million. We do have state aid funds available for this project, coming in at an estimated $700,000. And then other funds, special assessments, which I just went over, as $140,000 per the recommendation. And then City of Mound for that western portion of the eastern portion of West Edge. That came in just over 55,000. And we've been in contact with their staff as well. And again, as we discussed last time, before we request council approve the contract, city staff here and will work out with Mound to make sure that we have that pinned down, that they're okay with that cost share. And so that's our estimated funding through here at just over $2.5 million for the total project cost.
Okay.
So with that, here's our schedule. We're here this evening so council accepts bids, which does not require an action, but because we are with a 429 project, we would request that council call the assessment hearing, which a resolution to that effect is included in your packet. And with that, there we go.
So, but why wouldn't we want to award the contract or the bid? Or we're accepting them, but why wouldn't we want to award it?
So Mayor Whalen, certainly the council could award the contract. However, as I mentioned, I recommend that we have everything ironed out with the City of Mound before the Minnetrista Council award the project, and that we have all those details ironed out for that funding source.
And we would have to do that by a certain time. Otherwise, the contracts or the bids are basically null and void.
60 days.
Is it 60? I was thinking it's 30. Okay. And so then when will this come back? Like you're thinking March 2nd or February, March 2nd?
Yeah, we'd be,
16th,
oops,
March 16th.
I just messed this up.
Yeah.
But it would be that second meeting in March.
Okay, second. Okay.
Just because of the advertising requirements for the assessment hearing.
Just probably to do it all in one meeting.
Oh, you want to do it all in one?
I think that
Okay.
was the
That's
plan.
fine. We wouldn't have to, but I'm more concerned about the contract being awarded.
Correct. And we at the bid opening, I did state that we were looking at that second meeting. I gave the date to the contractors on the call that's
Okay.
the date that we would be looking to award the
And
contract.
they're okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So,
My apologies. I hit the back button. I thought, oh wait, maybe not. There we go.
it's not working right for a lot of people tonight.
I just have sticky fingers.
All right.
So,
All right.
So included in your packet, as I mentioned, is a resolution, and we are, the staff recommendation is that the council approve a resolution declaring the cost to be assessed, ordering the preparation of the proposed assessments, and calling for the public hearing on the proposed assessment for the street improvement project.
And do we have to list the date for the public hearing for the assessments?
It's in the resolution.
I'm
The
sorry.
city attorney might want to clarify if that has to be included in the motion. That would be appreciated.
Then maybe just one other clarification. I assume everyone saw in the packet the proposed interest rate at basically was per our policy, with one bonding, the 5.5.
Are we going to have to bond? That's what I was going to ask. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then a 20-year term at the 5.55%.
Okay.
Everyone was fine with that, just pretty much following our policy or whatever.
Okay.
Thank you for that
And
clarification.
Sarah, any comments?
No, I think it's fine as long as it's in the resolution. You don't need to put it in the motion.
Okay. So when would that date be? Do we know?
16.
Would the public hearing for the assessments also be on the 16th?
Yeah, I think it's March 16th,
Okay.
right?
So why don't we just put it in the motion? I mean, if we know it's going to be the 16th, then it's just another public informational thing. So,
I think that's the intent, to have the public hearing. And a lot of times we've adopted the assessments the same night, award the contract, and
Okay,
if it works, do it all one night.
all right.
Oh, Mayor Whalen, if I may.
Yep.
If, I just realized I pulled this from a past resolution and I did not update that the city council hearing would be held at 6:30 PM on March 16th. Included in the packet, it says 7 PM. So if the council would be so kind to make
Yep.
a motion to that effect.
All right. So first of all, number D here says we're going to receive the bids for the 2026 street improvement project, city project number 01-26. So first, is there a motion to receive the bids?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Govern. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. So next, we're a resolution to declare costs to be assessed and order the preparation of proposed assessments and call for the hearing on the proposed assessments, which will be $10,000 per parcel for the 2026 street improvement projects. And that hearing will be held on 16th of March, 2026 at 6:30. And those, then they will be notified. So is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Lacey. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. Any further questions? Any comments? Did we cover everything? And then we'll also be awarding the contract at that time as well. So all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. We'll be bringing back a resolution for the contract at the 16th, so we don't need to actually include that in this motion. So, all right. All right, thank you very much. And yeah, good news that it's a lot less than we thought, so that is great. Next, we move on to staff reports.
I don't have anything, Madam Mayor.
You don't? Come on, what do we do today?
Well, I thought you were going to talk about that.
Okay, I'll talk about it. All right.
You talk about it.
No, I mean, I can talk about it if you'd like, but.
Sure, quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, so Madam Mayor and I went to the state capitol. We beat the snowstorm a little bit of snow coming down, but we met with Representative Marge Fogelman from District 21B. She's on the House Capital Investment Committee.
She's one of the co-chairs.
She's one of the co-chairs. So if you remember, it's the House split. So we have 2 chairs and 2 co-chairs, 1 Democrat, 1 Republican for each one. So we met with her. We had I think a very good conversation. We pitched our project. She didn't know about our project yet, which we've been talking about it for a few years.
Kind of disturbing that she didn't know about it.
Yeah, well, now she does. But there is good feedback. She was comparing our project to some of the other projects that she has heard, and gave us the feedback that this sounds like it's potentially a better bang for the buck.
Higher priority.
We're being reasonable with our ask. We're not asking for the whole amount. We're asking for, less than 50% of our total cost. So she seemed open to it. The feedback we got was, she's not very optimistic about passing a bonding bill. And we just asked, hey, if there is a bonding bill, we want to make sure that we're considered, about our project. So I think it went well. I have a follow-up email to send with her. I'm updating all of the 2026 water rates, the kind of table that I have. If anybody's interested in seeing that, you can. There's quite a wide variety of people way up here and communities way down here. So, I think just from my recollection, there's some that are averaging around $265 a month, all the way down to $35 a month. So you get a big, wide range. I think when we're talking about using about 10,000 gallons a month here, we're at about $101. So pretty significantly more than what we were at. We're on the top end of the spectrum. We're probably in the top 15%. And that's in 2026. 2027 will likely have to continue to increase rates depending on how revenues come in. So, but I think the meeting was very, yeah.
That's development will help because it'll put a connection fees, area charges, and then user fees as well. So that'll all help a little bit. But I think, the takeaway too, and if anybody asks or talks to you about our increased rates, keep in mind that a lot of communities base their sewer rates on how much water people use. So, and their sewer is based on their water meter. So we don't do that. We just have a flat fee for sewer. So if you use a lot of water, you're not paying that much for sewer. So, it kind of averages out or helps a little bit in terms of of our utility charges, but
I just tell them we're building a $21 million plant with no state money.
yeah, right. Well, we're trying. And we have some other ones coming up next week. Jasper and I will be attending and trying to convince them. So we have about, and then we also on March 11th, we have, I think you'll be there at the Capitol Day. We have several lined up to meet with senators and representatives on that day as well.
Councilmember Governor will also be there.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
great. Sorry. I
And we do have, for that meeting, just so everybody knows, we do have two. We have Senator Pappas, and then we have Lee
Okay.
on that date.
And Senator Pappas is the chair for the Senate Capital Investment. And then Lee is the co-chair for the House Capital Investment. So they're two important individuals. So we'll be meeting with those. And that's, again, so if a bonding bill is passed, we don't know yet. Generally, this would be a year where they would pass a bonding bill, but we don't know. It's an election year, so nothing might happen. So we'll see. We'll do our best.
Lee, is that the same one we presented in front of last year?
Yeah,
Yes.
or not, or the year before.
No, the one that you and I with Andrew went to. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. But then I'll kind of piggyback on that. I'll go.
Sure.
If you're done.
I'm
But
done.
any other staff, do you need somebody for planning? No? For parks? Nothing? Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. So I was at Northwest League and I'm now the chair for Northwest League. Big whoopee. So, and it was just a city updates, and it's nice to kind of share information and so on. Of course, I shared our water infrastructure, and there's a couple other communities that now have to build treatment plants, and they were shocked. And I said, yeah, welcome to the party. So we're not the only ones in this game. So the other thing is I got an email from Andrew Myers, and he asked, I don't know if any of you probably all got it, what are our priorities? What I told him, I think our council would think our priorities are bonding money, number one, and hopefully he can push forward and help push forward a bonding bill, and that we would get some of it. Number two, I said local control over local issues, because the housing and zoning is going to be another big issue. I've been talking with not only Andrew, but also Senator Ann Johnson Stewart, and that's another big issue. The other one I also mentioned is that we really need to look at, I asked if they could figure out some kind of a bill that would help cities that are in joint powers agreements or working on JPAs for fire districts or for fire, because across the state, there's going to be these discussions. And one of the issues that we're running into right now is the fire relief funds. And we have to be able to fix and merge them, and that can be a big financial burden. So we're looking at that. I kind of mentioned that might be something on their radar screen. There were 5 things I mentioned, and I can't remember all of them, but I think they were all priorities. Of course, public safety. I also asked him if we could get more money for our transportation management organization for Highway 7, so that we can continue to promote safety improvements on Highway 7 for safety improvements. There's 2 different coalitions. One is the Public Safety Coalition, which Craig is a part of, and that's more for policing and for police issues, if you will, and they address current safety issues, speeding and driving without, whatever, all those issues. That's a different coalition. Our coalition is more focused on how we can attract attention to Highway 7 by MnDOT that will then address the driving safety issues on Highway 7. So that was another one I asked if they could promote a bill for that. That's all I remember. So sorry, I'm going off the top of my head here. And then I've had a few other meetings with different elected officials and talks again surrounding the needs for Minnetrista. So that's it.
Jasper and I attended the Mound Fire Commission meeting last Thursday. The chief position has been posted. They're going to start interviewing candidates for Chief Peterson's replacement. They moved up the timeline by 3 months, so hopefully they'll get someone in about April. So there'll be an overlap between the new chief and when Chief Peterson retires. Because they moved that position up 3 months, they pushed back the deputy chief position that was approved 3 months back. So that one would look to start September, October versus mid-year. Which makes sense. I did ask Vicki when she plans to retire, since she does everything for chief, so we knew they'd be somewhat close in timeline. She said she will stay 12 to 18 months after Chief Peterson retires, so that's good. Really good, because she knows how everything works and all the computers and all that, so it'll be good to keep her as long as possible after that. They did get their actuarial for the pension fund. The relief fund chose to increase their payout to $7,100 to match St. Bonnie's. So their fund is now 105% funded. They will not get rid of their monthly payouts. So the fire district meeting that was supposed to be yesterday was canceled, and I foresee all of them being canceled between now and when the new chief starts.
Probably.
And then, because St. Bonnie's also going to be getting a chief at some point, so I'm assuming that's just permanently on hold now. But they will not stop their monthly payouts. The mindset at that meeting was that St. Bonnie should just accept the monthly payouts, which St. Bonnie won't do. So again, that's at a standstill. Andy Drilling, he's in charge of the Relief Association. He did reach out to the state. I want to say Rose, is that her name? Rose, to see if there's any way the state can help so that they could split the relief fund and have it one set up for the monthlies and fully fund that and then take the rest for the other so we could split it. They're going to add that to their discussion points.
And I know, I think Representative Danny Nadeau is on that. And I know Danny, so I was thinking of calling him and talking to him about this too. So that might also be helpful. But yeah.
Yeah.
And just so you know, and so you know this, you know this. So a reminder too, I forgot to say this. So on the 26th, we're having our strategic planning session. And then afterwards, we're doing the joint meeting, and we'll be talking about fire at that meeting too. So we'll get more details, and I think the fire chief's going to be there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So besides Kathleen's report now, we'll also have more time to get more information and digest it a little bit more. Go, sorry.
No, you're good. Just a reminder, there's only 23 fire departments in the state that still do monthly payouts. So yeah. Mound currently has 38 firefighters. They just added their first female one. So that's awesome. They added 13 firefighters in the last 18 months, but lost 14. So net, they're down 1, but they're happy with 38. So that's doing good. Total calls for 2025 were 779. Of that, 54 were duty officers and an additional 28 for mutual aid calls. Again, the firefighters all like the mutual aid calls because they're fires. So they like responding to those. So for a total of 807 calls, which equaled 10,788 hours. Of the 807 calls, 494 were medical. And then 313 were fire. So kind of going to the work session of why the lift assist ordinance would be a good idea. Hopefully lower
Because a lot of those
are
medicals are lift
lift
assist. Yeah.
and a lot of frequent flyers.
Yeah.
So
Frequent flyers.
everybody can do that, would hopefully drag down that number a little bit, which would be good. Great news for 2026. WAFTA got federal funding, which Chief Peterson has been working on for like 30 years.
Yeah.
They got 1.2 million. Which is a great start. The total cost to clean up the site will be 2.3 million.
But they also have some funding.
They do. They have $416,000 in funding. So with the 1.2 million, they're going to start phase 1, which is around $900,000.
Oh.
Then after they get that, they'll see what else they can get done. And then they'll likely go to Excel and Centerpoint and ask them to give money because they also use the site. So phase 1 will get started, which will be great. And
I'm not familiar with that. Where is that? And
the Nike site up.
oh, it's the Nike.
Yeah.
It's the old
Missile
missile site.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So they will start the cleanup on that site hopefully soon. They're doing ISO testing, which is their rating. St. Bonnie's also doing it this year in the next couple of weeks. So they'll be basically both getting rated around the same time. Chief Peterson, for the hydranted areas, they're a 3, which is good. It's out of 10. He figures they'll stay a 3. And then the other interesting news is Shane Gardner was Mound Firefighter of the Year for 2025. Everybody loves him. He's great. He came over from Long Lake. So it was a good meeting. It was short. It was actually under 2 hours, which is rare. So it was good.
Okay. All right. Peter,
Well, I have, tomorrow night I have the Pioneer Sarah Creek meeting.
hopefully you have better road conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, nothing.
Okay.
Of course you will. Gary's guys are going to plow and make them all wonderful for the morning commute.
I saw him going by.
All right. Claudia, anything?
Not really.
Okay. All right. And Ryan? All right.
Nothing for me.
Okay. So any other reports, comments? Okay. Hearing none then, all those, is there a motion to, all those in favor? I'm trying to rush this thing. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Peter. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Claudia. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. Imagine that. Okay.
Everybody wants to stick around.
Okay.
I don't know.
I didn't pull something.
Here you go.
from my-